Good evening, demons. Oh, how's everybody doing today? I'm not gonna lie, I was playing Elden Ring earlier. I found Super Hell. I'm excited to show it off to you guys next week because it's Super Hell. That's just the only real appropriate term for it. But I'm very happy to be taking a break, slowing it down, and just enjoying some NPG today. Especially because we're on episode 4, and the achievement names are a little cryptic for episode 4, but I think this is the one where even Yosemite get together, or I'm hoping anyway. Fingers crossed. And I know episode 5 is split into 2 parts, so that one's gonna probably take us, like, at least 2 streams to do, which is, fine by me. But yeah, I'm very excited. And I hope everyone's having a nice day today. Has it gotten dark yet? No, it hasn't. It's gotten emotional, but not dark. Well, maybe that depends on your definition, because, like, some of the stuff that happened is, like, kind of fucked up, like, regarding memory loss for all of the girls, which is scary. But yeah, I wouldn't say dark. I think we're at a pretty good turning point for the girls as well. Because yeah, last time Yosemite was trying to, like, do everything possible, even some not okay stuff, to try and make Zion remember things from her past, because apparently at one point Zion was like Yosemite's mother figure instead of being the other way around, so Yosemite's really fucked up about that. And then we can go here. Yeah, this is weird, I don't know why, but I can see my mouse in OBS but not on the game itself. So, like, I'm wiggling it here, but I can only see that I'm doing that because I'm looking at my OBS screen. The parks get damaged from pollution, stuff like that. That's possible. In the first episode, we did see Yosemite come down with, like, a really bad fever, and like her clothes started to catch fire because a forest fire was started. And in episode 2, when Yellowstone got really, really fucking mad, her head Kano, which is straight up what they call it, was, like, erupting, and the volcano in Yellowstone National Park almost erupted as well. It was a lot more just, like, emotional stuff, though, for last episode. But yeah, let's, where did my fucking mouse go again? Kaboom, yeah.
Ranger Adams? Ranger Adams? I thought that the teepee were supposed to be like tents. So why is this one made of wood, huh, Ranger Adams?
Oh god, a small fucking child. Also, the child has a name, which is not normal. Normally, the campers and stuff, are just, annoying camper number 1 or dumbass camper number 2. The porky little kid raises his hand and tries to jump, spouting off another series of gotcha questions for the infinitieth time today. Pretty sure they're all designed to either make me look bad or make him look better. Either way, I've developed a personal grudge against this 9-year-old. God, if they ain't in a fucking mood.
Well, you see, Reuben, you little bundle of stardust, you. This is a bark house. And if you listened to the other times I told you, I'm sure you would have known that.
My tightened cheeks wobble as I struggle to keep faking the smile. Don't think it's convincing, though. The thumbtack-looking teacher is sipping at his travel mug more often with growing urgency.
Yeah, but Ranger Adams, it looks like a teepee. I'm just saying.
Kid sounds like he's gonna pee.
It's not a teepee.
The teacher leans away from his mug to interrupt, but I don't give him the chance.
A teepee is made from animal skin. Does this look like animal skin to you? No, it doesn't. It's made of bark, which you can see because you have eyes. Hence the name. You ask such great questions, Reuben. Now someone else give me another one.
Barely managed to hold that one together, but all things considered, not too bad. At least I'm not screaming at children yet. I scan the faces of about 20 or so antsy 4th graders. Parent chaperones scold the most distracted of them with stiff hand motions. Some kids look up at me expecting, waiting. Others have their fingers up their nose. None of them are raising their hands. Except for Reuben.
Anyone at all.
Only birds respond. Ranger Adams, they chirp. Tell us about the old villages that were razed to the ground before this replica was built. Please, Ranger Adams, tweet, tweet. Reuben is jumping off the ground now. His shirt rolls up as he thrusts his hand into the air and his belly spills over his cargo shorts. I count to 4 like my Jesse-mandated counselor told me to do, then release a deep, deep sigh.
Go ahead, Reuben.
Where's the chief? Teacher said he would show us the sweat lodge.
Councilman Trampton got caught up with tribal affairs.
Are we still doing the sweat lodge?
Doesn't look like...
Oh.
Oops, I did not mean to skip that, but it's short line. Tours aren't really my jurisdiction, but sometimes when the stars decide they want to unalign and throw everything out of orbit, they get handed over to me. I like doing them more than I used to, but usually they're hikes or nature trails. But when it comes to the history and culture of the tribes around here, I just feel dirty, out of my depth. It's like killing someone in their home, then buying it up only to turn the place into a haunted maze. Usually someone from the American Indian Council of Mariposa County would be out here, but today, these kids get me, with my red hair, freckles, and middle-class upbringing.
Do Indians still live here?
Reuben speaks up again, this time without raising his hands. He points around at the ramshackle buildings and cabins compiled of local flora and bark. They're sturdy, but need to be rebuilt from time to time. To be honest, it's really not all that bad of a question. Just don't like the mouth hole it's coming out of.
This village is just a replica. No Miwok or Awanichi people have lived in the park since the 60s. Even then, most were forced out by the Mariposa Battalion during the gold rush.
A couple of parents cough into their fists. The teacher tugs at his collar.
Ranger Adams?
Baby. A fragile girl with pigtails steps up from behind Reuben. Her voice is quiet and meek. If her hair was a few shades lighter, she'd look a lot like Zion.
What is it, sweetie?
What do you mean by forced out?
Ha ha ha! Time to teach these kids about colonialism. Uh-oh. The teacher is pleading at me with his eyes. Meanwhile, the parents are stabbing me with theirs. Now all the kids, even the ones with low attention spans, are looking to me, their innocent states underscoring the thick silence. I sniff back the spring allergies.
You kids know what a genocide is?
She's going for it.
Okay!
The teacher panic laughs and rushes to my side. He punctuates the tour with a clap of his hands.
How about we all go check out the museum?
Hey kids, you know what a genocide is? I don't know how, but this fucking VN makes me laugh every goddamn time.
come on! You can't be eating people's trash!
Oh, but he's a good boy. That's cringe. They should tell the kids how fucked up old people are. Oh, they absolutely should. It's just, you know, the teacher is a coward and the parents are assholes. Gripping the scruff of his neck, I drab Pup onto the cabin porch, his paws scratching and sliding on the wooden planks. He's growing so fast, I don't even believe it until I try to carry him for myself. There's an old saying that if you pick a calf up every day from the time it's born to the time it's an adult, you'll be able to hoist it up when it's fully grown. Clearly, I missed a few days with Pup. He rolls his head into my arm and nips at my wrist.
Ow! Why, you little...
The sharp pain dulls as I check my wrist. No major damage, just a scrape etched down my arm. Pup gallops across the field, then spins in circles like he has a chance of finding the end of infinity.
I am not having this lack of cooperation.
He sniffs at a dead bird, so decomposed that its remaining mass has flattened into the ground. Then he rolls around in it. It's not like he ever listened to me to begin with, but lately it's felt like he's untamable. He won't dare nip at Zion, but me, Yosemite, and even Yellowstone have gotten snapped at by him recently. He's a sweet boy, but it's almost becoming an issue. I'll just have to spend more time training him, I guess. Maybe the weekends. Since I've started going on regular hikes with Yellowstone and Zion, they've begun feeling a little more open. Can't explain it. It's like a psychological light switch. But I guess I'm not unhappy to have it flipped on. The sudden crack of shattering glass yelps from inside the cabin. My furrowed brow blocks half my vision. In less than a second, I'm inside.
Somebody better have a replacement.
At least 100 shards of ceramic and glass are scattered at the base of her feet. The tray she was carrying is upside down and several feet away, water sliding behind it. We go through teapots like some families go through sourdough. Yellowstone doesn't react, not even so much as a head turn. She stares up at the corner, eyes stretched wide, mouth open. Leaning forward in her chair, Zion's jaw is slouched on the table. She's looking at me, but she's staring right through me. Maybe through the wall behind me.
Can someone say something?
A bolt of energy sizzles from the tip of my head down into my calves, deadbolting me to the floor. My entire body is held down by the weight. Not because I can't move, but because I know I shouldn't. Yosemite is sitting in lotus over on my bed. I don't know when I gave her permission to do that, but there she is. Her back is turned to me. She faces the window. On the nightstand, a lit candle sways with the breeze that spirals through the cabin. The sweet scent of burning pine is brushed over to me. The candle flickers out.
Girls!
The tension in my body lifts and I'm finally allowed to exhale. There's a moment of clarity, empty stillness, where all the questions I have right now, I feel like they have obvious answers. But as I inhale, the fog comes rolling back in, and I'm as confused as ever.
Yellowstone, I saw it too. What in the Sam Hill was that?
I don't know.
Did you see the girl? Yeah, she was kinda hot.
Yellowstone?
Not what I meant, but I get what you mean.
Zion scrunches up her tiny face. Yellowstone looks at her, and she looks at Yellowstone. They both twist their heads and look at me. Based Yellowstone? Yeah. I've had lots of eyes on me today, but the primal part of my lizard brain is scared enough for me to take a few steps back.
Miss Eve? Did you see that vision too? Like, in your noggin?
Vision? No, nothing like that.
The smoke from the incense is thick. It feels tangible, like I could hop on it and ride it into the ether.
But as soon as I walked in here, I could feel something.
Feel something? Like what?
Tension, fear. I don't know. It just felt oppressive, I guess.
Spooky.
Zion gasps and jumps out of her seat, hovering there for a moment before floating back down.
Yosemite! What about you?
Yosemite doesn't speak. Yosemite doesn't turn around. Yosemite doesn't do anything. She just sits there, back turned, legs still crossed, unflinching, braving whatever little world she's in all by herself.
Yo, Slow-simity! Catching some Z's over there or what?
Slow-simity. Oh, right, Heavy. Before, when you weren't a fan of Yellowstone doing the Jersey accent, it wasn't a Jersey accent. It was like a 1920s kind of accent. We've determined that is when she started, kind of learning how to talk for people.
Slow-simity.
Even Zion's repeating it. Zion's eyes widen and her mouth stretches into a giant O.
Oh, I get it! That's very clever, Yellowstone.
Oh, that's beautiful. She claps her hands together to congratulate her friend, but Yellowstone is too busy chewing on her nails to bask in it. Whatever they saw must have shaken her. Hard to blame her, though. Whatever it was I felt has me shook, too. It wasn't just a passing feeling, like lightheadedness or vertigo. It was something real enough that it could bury itself deep under my skin.
You know, I don't think I've ever seen you shut up for this long. What's the deal?
Marching over to my little nook of the cabin, I step between Yosemite and the wall. I stare down at her. For the first time since getting to know each other, I feel like the tall one.
Eve?
Oh, she's fucked up. Trembling, Yosemite stares up at me, spots of tears dabbing at the corner of her eyes. 6 feet of ego and superiority contorted into a vulnerable ball. Before I can even process what she's feeling or how that makes me feel, she pounces off the bed and wraps her long tree branch arms around me.
Whoa, okay. Forgot you were a hugger, but sure.
Her weight almost drags us both down and onto the bed, but my calves are strong enough to keep us anchored to the floor. She clings tightly to my uniform, stretching the fabric as she does the bare minimum to keep herself held up. There's not any sobbing, but the tears are there and I can feel them bleeding through my shirt. The quiet part of me says to push her away and tell her to suck it up, but the louder part of me cuts through all the nastiness and tells me Yosemite is worthy of pity. My hand, awkwardly hovering over the back of her head, goes limp. I stroke her hair until I reach her back, then I just ride out the embrace.
What's wrong with Yosemite? Does she know what that was? Because I don't know Jack Diddley. Tell me what the Jack is, Yosemite. Tell me about the Diddley.
Tell me about the diddly. Oh, turbo-based Yellowstone. The two of them rush over, not giving a single second of extra thought to the idea of crowding a crying girl.
Oh, no you don't.
Dragging Yosemite's mass with me, I step over to the curtain and slide it closed, cutting off Zion and Yellowstone's stampede.
Peel back this veil, Missy. I need answers.
I love Yellowstone so much.
Yes. This is extremely unfair, Miss Eve.
We should listen to Zion. Yellowstone, seemingly unaware that she has the power to peel back the veil, presses herself against the curtain, the outline of her body coming at us through the fabric like bad 3D effects.
Tough. The adults need to talk.
Oof. Even though they're all older than Eve. Careful to dodge Yosemite, I kick Yellowstone back using the center of my foot. She stumbles back, and although I can't see it, I hear the crash landing.
much older than you, I'll have you know.
Yeah! It's like it's just with Please Be Happy. Every time I'm just like, but this, and then someone says the thing that I just said.
Whatever you say, Squirt. Come back to me once you sprout up a few more inches.
Please, you two.
Yosemite manages to choke back her tears long enough to plead with them between sniffles.
Just a few minutes, okay?
The other side of the curtain goes quiet. Enough time for Yosemite to take another dance with hysterics as she tries, and fails, to compose herself. Zion floats to the top of the curtain rail to peer down at us. When you have wings, being a piece of shit, being a little shit is easy. She blows me a ripe, juicy raspberry, then drops back down with a defiant humph. With those two out of the way, I tug Yosemite back towards the bed and have to shove her onto it to get her to stop clinging to me.
Alright, let's take a few seconds to breathe.
Yosemite nods her head up and down, covering her mouth with her hand, like that'll actually keep me from seeing her tears. Or shame. Whichever makes her the most embarrassed, and I'm positive that one or the other, or both, does. I climb onto the bed and do the crisscross applesauce things, which in these khakis and this uniform is no easy task. The comforter is soft and warm, retaining Yosemite's body heat. We both sink into the bed, the frame struggling beneath our collective weight.
Tell me what happened.
She nods and takes a steadying breath.
Well, it's hard to put into words. Nearly unexplainable.
Just pretend you're smart and have to dumb everything down for me. Should be easy for you.
It's only easy because you're so mediocre.
The sass. With a half smile, she thumbs away the last few tears. I take off my hat and plant it on her head, twisting it on hard and tight so it smothers her smug face.
Spill it.
It was like I experienced things.
Yes, that's kind of how life works.
Welcome to consciousness.
Also, yes. She tilts back the hat. Her eyes pop out from beneath it like a groundhog ready for spring.
I'm serious. Not just sights, but sounds and smells too. I could recount how I was feeling when I laughed at a joke. Complicated instances where things felt bitter and sweet, but still full. Even extremely specific energy. The richness of a moment where you really pay attention to it. Imprints.
So what, like a vision? That's gotten tossed out there already.
I suppose. Although I feel like that implies more disconnect from it. They felt more like...
Memories? Chuckling, she rolls her eyes. There's a crack in her voice, and I realize she's doing it to keep herself from crying again.
Well, I suppose they felt more like memories, Eve.
Nailed it.
Memories?
Thank you for always repeating everything I say. It's very reaffirming.
If my defense mechanism is the black comfort of nihilism, then hers is the icy delight of sarcasm. But I think I have an idea of what it's defending her from, and that knowledge makes it harder to blame her.
Are they yours? Pretty sure all three of you saw the same thing. I could feel it as soon as I walked in.
Positive. Every living thing in this park flows through me. I feel it. My perception of being is specific to me. Unique. Did you just say you felt it?
It was just a hunch or something. You were all spaced out. Frankly, I'm jealous of your ability to disassociate.
Why am I getting so defensive? I felt what I felt. In a way, I experienced it as strongly as how Yosemite said she experienced her little episode. It would be so much easier to confront if I could just pass it off as a fever or food poisoning.
You must be spending too much time around us.
Reach into the choir.
We both snort, letting the silence take over as we smile at each other. Since our entire friendship is a game of chicken, we hold out to see who breaks first. It's Yosemite. Her eyes dodge mine and droop down at the bed sheets. I do the same.
So, are you gonna tell me what you saw?
No avoiding it, huh?
For most people, you absolutely can avoid things. It's easy. But for her, I don't think it is. She always goes for the most difficult option. It's just her ego and inability to admit when she's being an idiot that make it harder than it has to be.
It wasn't just one moment that I experienced. There were multiple moments, and it felt like I was being sucked through all of them, through time. Languages I could understand at the time, but that seemed completely dead to me now. People I knew and was happy to see, even though I can't pin down who they are.
Her forehead creases with wrinkles and the flow of information slows to a contemplative trickle.
One of them was a girl.
I knew it! I knew we saw the same gal!
Yellowstone, shut up. Yellowstone's voice booms out like a disruptive firework.
Eavesdropping is supposed to be quiet. You need to be considerate when we're being rude.
Zion's so good.
All this stuff is giving me the willies. If I don't get them deets, I'm gonna flip.
Keep up the screeching and I will actually give you something to be afraid of.
And I won't stop her.
Oh shit, now you know you're in trouble. There's immediate silence, then Zion whispers.
Don't listen to her. We can take her on if we have to.
Fighty baby. Instead of storming through the curtain, I roll my eyes. Your time will come, girls. Your time will come.
Continue.
It's the same as before, really. I couldn't tell you who she was, but I knew her. She was carrying this woven basket. It looked heavy, so I wanted to help. And when she turned around, it was like comfort, relief, and happiness and belonging. Sounding crazy enough for you yet?
Nothing does at this point.
If any barrier she had erected between the two of us was still standing, I'm pretty sure it just got knocked down. She pulls her feet out from the pretzel they're in and balls her knees close to her chest.
The strangest thing about it was that there was one thing that connected all the scenarios.
Besides yourself?
No, because the through line was that it all took place here in the park. I was present in more ways than one.
As much as I want to be here for Yosemite right now, this is starting to make my head hurt.
And you're sure about that?
As sure as I am about everything else so far.
Groaning, she buries her face in her knees, the rest of her head buried under my hat.
If only I could visit. I feel like everything would start to make sense.
Then go visit. It's not like you can't go wherever you want in this park.
It doesn't work like that, you
She nearly stumbles into a casual insult, but catches herself.
precious, precious thing.
Not even a good save.
I can only go to places that I know of. Obviously, that's most places here, but occasionally there are areas even I'm not familiar with.
Okay, so you're talking about your magic teleportation abilities. What about using your feet? I fake a gasp.
Are you saying the great and wise Yosemite doesn't know everything?
It's a fact that actively irritates me, so don't rub it in. But yes, I'm afraid I don't even know where to start. Which means even after seeing all this, I'm still no better off than I usually am.
The thralls of despair are as long as they are sharp, and its talons are clutched around Yosemite. It was hard to see when we first met, but it's clear to me now. There's so much she wants to know, but so much is keeping her from it. Mostly knowledge, or the lack of it. No wonder she reads so much.
There's nothing about it in any of those books of yours?
Her head slinks back and forth.
I've read everything I own multiple times. If there were anything helpful, I'd remember.
She's kind of pathetic. Not even kind of, she just is. A far cry from the fearsome spirit that challenged me when I was first stationed here. Though I think that version of her never really existed to begin with. I compare her to a tree a lot, but I think it works. At first she seemed tall and mighty, her presence shading the cabin at all times. But with a few slow and powerful swings of an axe, she's been chopped down to my size. But when you're way down where I'm at, there's nothing about you that feels powerful. No matter how much wisdom or strength you claim you have, that's how things are when you're this low. And that's why I'm gonna help her.
I guess I have no choice then.
The fucking ranger hat looks so goofy on her. I slide off the bed and stretch.
No choice but to do what?
But to take you to the research library.
It's not a big deal to me, so I let the info slip out so casually. But to her? Well, let's just say this will be my second good deed for the year.
Research library?
Nerd. I glance over my shoulder.
Who's repeating whom now?
She crawls across the bed and grabs my suit.
Are you saying such a place exists? You aren't lying just to make me cry, are you?
You have some serious trust issues, man.
Are you?
Her eyes start to water again, proving my previous theory about the chopped tree, though at this point she's looking more like a garden plant.
It's real and it's a perk of the job. Open to researchers and staff. Guess which one I am?
Suddenly her eyes are dry. Suddenly she's on her feet. And suddenly she's shaking me back and forth.
Why didn't you tell me about this before?
I anchor myself to the ground and minimize the damage from the oncoming whiplash.
Because you keep stealing my credit card to buy used books online. Why would I reward that behavior?
If I knew this existed, I wouldn't have had to indulge in your capitalist system to begin with.
True.
You're welcome.
The shaking stops. Her expression goes blank. Hopefully from contemplating the selfishness that boils in her at all times. She course corrects and puts on a grin, then swings her arms around me and pulls me in for a hug.
Thank you.
Her hug squeezes the air out of me, and I'm already realizing I am so tired.
When are we going?
Let go of me. We can leave as soon as I change out of my uniform. There's a van down by the station we can use.
Oh, I haven't tried my hand at driving before.
You're not driving.
You're not driving.
Why am I like this? Before Yosemite can object, Yellowstone zips open the curtain.
Hold your horses! You girls aren't just gonna speed off and leave us in the dark, are ya?
You are literally Eve. I hope not. She's a little... I've never punched a random person before.
We're just as clueless as you are. If we figure anything out, we'll be sure to let you know.
But... I have questions.
Isn't life funny that way?
Try not to lose sleep over it.
Yosemite hums happily to herself as I start before the bathroom. Before I close the door, I hear Zion comfort her friend.
Don't worry, Yellowstone. We can just play Uno instead of thinking.
She's so good. Right, hydrate, give me 1 sec. Forgot
So,
you were a
in
hugger.
1901,
Give
Seth and
Yosemite a
Red
cool new
published
hat.
Thought Forms, a collection of their compiled work that was written from a theosophical perspective discussing the visualization of the emotions and thoughts people experience every day.
A bug splats onto the windshield, one of many that are now caked into the car. I pull down on the lever and cleaning fluid sprays onto the window, but windshield wipers mostly just spread the mess back and forth, them only serving to make things more slippery. Head empty, just Uno.
This is important because it's part of a wave of expansion in Western esotericism that occurred going into the 20th century, alongside groups such as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Oh, those assholes. Aleister Crowley was a fucking maniac. I've been driving so much today. The library is right next to the replica village I was giving the tour at earlier. If all of this had happened before I went in for work, I would have just brought Yosemite with me to save on gas.
But the real big takeaway from it, at least in my opinion, is that in the book, Besant and Leadbeater lay out 3 principles for this philosophy: quality of thought, nature of thought, and definiteness of thought.
At least it's not too big of a loss. This drive is always therapeutic. Any drive where forests border me on both sides, on both sides of the road are. Even if this is one of the busiest areas of the park.
There are certain details that I disagree with, but they're the backbone of Dr. Angela Merrick's theory that I've been trying to elaborate on. That being mind creates matter.
Hope those kids are on a bus headed home by this point. Running into them would be sure to bulldoze what's left of my pride after how that tour went. Hey kid, you know what a genocide is? Huh. Wonder if Yellowstone will save some leftovers for us. To be honest, I'm not sure when we're gonna be back. We could be out well into the night if we find a lead.
Are you even listening to me?
Nope. My attention turns from the beauty of Yosemite the park to the poutiness of Yosemite the girl. You'd be surprised by the difference. And the similarities. Ooh, Eve.
Not gonna lie, I tuned out everything after Crowley. It's all voodoo to me.
The Lima, actually. But because you're helping me out, I'll let your disrespect slide just this once.
It's not disrespect. I just wasn't listening.
Yosemite stabs me with her eyes, shanking me with hundreds of tiny passive-aggressive daggers. Then she sighs and gives up. Because I win. Always and forever.
So, before I get my hopes up...
Oh my god, you have hopes? Next you're gonna tell me you have dreams, too!
Before I throw you out of this vehicle, what do you think the chances are of us actually finding something of value at this library?
It depends on what you're looking for. This isn't exactly a public library, you know. It has records, essays, articles, and a bunch of other things I'm sure only you will find interesting.
Despite the last-second jab at her, Yosemite's knees bounce with restrained excitement as I list off the library's collection.
It sounds like a treasure trove. I won't be sure of what we're looking for until we get there, but now I'm positive we'll find it.
Well, I hope so. She notices her bouncing knee, then slams her fist down on the shin. It stops. She glances at me, looks out the window, and turns to look at me again, then finally commits to the window.
Whatever it is.
What a freak. It's a little fun to watch, though. Makes me wonder just what exactly is going on in her head.
You sure do have a fetish for learning, huh?
Fetish? Is there not a single bone, or organ, or tendon in your body that isn't crude? It is a fascination. Understand, you barbarian?
Sure.
I do. I understand that she's embarrassed because I hit the nail right on top of its fragile little head. She huffs and puffs like a fussy grandma.
But, yes, if you're actually wondering, I find acquiring new information to be a joy. And the more I can indulge in it, the better.
I hide my teasing beneath a cough.
Fetish.
I despise you!
No, you don't.
Sometimes.
There you go.
You're not exactly a barrel of dandelions either.
She stretches my hat over her head until she looks like she's wearing a mask. It's hard to tell for sure over the rushing wind from outside, but I'm almost convinced I can hear the first few syllables of a muffled laugh.
I have my reasons, you know.
Squirreling out of the depths of my hat, Yosemite plops her chin down on her fist and gazes out the window. For being a pretentious snob? Is the first response that zaps through my mind. But I decide to hold off because as much as I love getting under her skin, it's pretty cheap to devalue the things people care about. I know that. Or at least I do now.
Your research, right?
Yes, but not only that.
The seat squeaks as she shifts around. She settles on one position, her posture a little stiffer, then decides that's too uncomfortable and slouches. The process repeats itself.
Retaining information is difficult, especially in the long haul. I first noticed it with Zion. Then me, eventually. Memories seemed fuzzier. Details that used to be clear just began slipping away.
It's been about a week since the big blowout between Yosemite and Zion. All Zion wanted was to spend time together at a picnic, but Yosemite let the worst of herself get a hold of her and warped the nice gesture into a test to see if she could trigger some memories in Zion. The North Guardian Angel was gorgeous, but that's one picnic I don't want to relive.
I noticed it in Yellowstone, too. Sometimes when she's cooking or cleaning or even just playing with Zion, she'll pause. Get this faraway look in her eyes, like she's missing something. I think it happens to all of us at one point or another. It might just come with the territory, with existing. But it feels like a curse.
You sure it's not just existing that's the curse?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
It's all perspective, I suppose. Sometimes it sure does feel that way. But for me, soaking up as much information as I possibly can, about anything, even things that might seem silly or esoteric, is how I cope with it. To make sure I never truly delude myself into thinking the essence of existing is suffering. Because there needs to be more to it than the things that scare me.
Her words are desperate, but she says them with enough conviction for me to know that she repeated this mantra to herself until she ended up believing it. Or at least until she got attached to it.
Color me jealous.
Are you setting up a sarcastic punchline, or is this a segue into genuine admiration for me?
The fact that you think jealousy equates to admiration says more about you than me. But, yeah, I mean it. You have an actual philosophy to live by. A structure of belief that drives you to action. That means you're tenacious, or tenaciously oblivious. Not everyone is so lucky.
We smack a bump in the road. Dangling from the ignition, the keys jingle. I moaned about it to Jesse when I got reassigned, but I wish someone cared enough to do something about the potholes. I wish that person were me.
God, I'm getting secondhand depression just listening to you. Motivations, beliefs, whatever it is that keeps you diving headfirst into insanity. That isn't something you're either born with or without. Attributing it to luck undermines not only your ability to seek truth, but also the one current that flows through every living and natural thing.
I keep one eye on the road and one eye on Yosemite, waiting for her to follow up. She doesn't. Instead, we just hit another pothole.
Ask what it is. This conversation warrants anticipation.
You're unreal.
Literally.
Ask me!
Okay, I've been there. It's just like, come on. I set up the bait for you. You gotta take it. She whines. I roll my eyes and validate the spoiled child. Then channel my inner Yellowstone.
Hot Skippy, Yosemite! I don't got a clue about the thunk inside your thing. Hit me with them deeds!
That was painful. Now she gives me the transcendent stare.
It's will. The intention to commit to an action that changes the surrounding environment. Intention. You have to have it when you get a cup of coffee. The earth absorbs heat unevenly. Thus, it has intention to diffuse the gas via wind. But to act on intention takes will. which means anything with the potential to act, at the very least shares will. If something exists, but it actively denies its capacity to change its reality, it's either oblivious to the power of its will, or
She grins at me with smug pity.
it's scared a bit.
She sure is devoted to making sure her points are theatrical revelations. Gotcha, therapy.
Dang, Yosemite. Your 8th grade pseudo-philosophy stabilized the serotonin in my body for the first time in years. I could feel my bootstraps lifting me into the sky as we speak.
This is the kind of shit I'd hear in a Zero Escape game.
Quit strawmanning me with an adage I didn't even say. I just want you to act on your potential in a positive way. Because right now you're only using it to constipate yourself. With fear, probably anger too.
Wait, shut up. Did you just imply that you have an emotional investment in my long-term happiness?
Yosemite raises her finger to speak, then drops it. Her mouth mindlessly hangs open, frozen in stasis. Her hands fall to her lap, the safest place in the world. She fiddles with her thumbs instead of looking at me.
I do. Yeah.
Aww.
Oh. Thanks, I guess.
While the voice on the inside of my head is busy screaming, I try to admire some of the trees on the side of the road. So textured. So green. So easy to distract myself with as I avoid the reality of Yosemite continuing today's tradition of being vulnerable. It's hard to swallow, because if Yosemite, with all her egotism and faux put-upness, or faux put-uponness, can make the conscious effort to be truthful about her emotions, then I don't really have any excuse. And that sucks. Which is why I need to offer her a way out. Now.
It's just funny you say that, since there are some implications that crop up from that.
I don't think this is going to go the way either of them want.
Like what?
She doesn't say it with any ironic doubt or guilted pity. It's plain and curious and genuine, and compromises some of my defenses, quite frankly. I grip the steering wheel until the rubber squeaks under my hand.
Well, you know, like how if you believe the potential for will exists in every natural thing, then you're saying people are part of nature, inherently. That's pretty optimistic for you, don't you think?
Eve.
She leans in and adjusts the rearview mirror, shifting it to face me. When she's done, she folds her hands for punctuation. When I look at the mirror, I don't get the privilege of looking out the back window. I get to look at myself.
I said what I said.
Huh. Went on a nice drive to the museum. Also, that's 2 achievements very fast.
A blue 5. Let me see.
Uno time!
There! 5. And I know you don't have any reds left. You may have to draw. Yellowstone. Stop daydreaming. It's your turn. This is very serious.
Oopsie daisy. Me and my dilly-dallying. Let's see. Red 5, huh? Well, any other day, this would put me in a real pickle. But I'm thinking this wild card right here is gonna land me in Uno!
Again? You always save the fancy cards for last. It's extremely unfair. One more round.
Yeah.
Aw, Yellowstone's not feeling it.
Yellowstone, if you don't want to play, I really wish you would come out and say it.
What? No, that's not what's... Golly, I'm sorry, Zion. I just got brainworms squirming around in the old noggin, I guess.
I am familiar with the brainworms.
Brainworms? Don't tell me you actually ate one of our mud pies again.
She's done it before.
Nah, not this time. It's that memory, dream, vision, whatchamacallit we all had. I can't stop thinking about it. And I'm the best at not thinking about things.
That's one way to call yourself an airhead.
Well, it was a very intense experience. It only makes sense for it to linger with you.
But it's more than that. It was like I was seeing things through some other fella's eyes. Like it wasn't me.
I had a similar feeling. It was such a relief once it was over.
You're telling me. Except, it still kind of feels like I'm there. And then I got to thinking, what if what I saw in the whatchamacallit was the real me, and the me that's here right now is just a phony?
Yellowstone, no, sweetie.
What if I don't actually exist? What if you, Yosemite, Eve, and this entire park don't exist?
I think she ate some of the fun mushrooms.
That's real screwed up, Yellowstone.
No! Oh, it's really bumming me out. Everything seemed so solid before. Now it all seems flimsy. Like a thin tater chip you can see through.
Don't be bummed out, Yellowstone. Here, let me draw us another hand and we can talk about it until you feel better.
Zion's so good.
Really? You do that for me?
Of course. I love you.
A thin tater chip. Yup. She's just 1920 slang personified.
And besides, existence is extremely strange, especially if it's not something you consider very often.
God.
Is it? Until Evo came along, I always felt like any Jack and Jill you'd see on the hiking trail. Well, minus the cone dome.
The Cone Dome.
The way she talks about us makes me feel like some kind of goober that shouldn't be real. Like we're something out of a dream.
It's interesting that you mentioned dreams. People have theorized that life is one big dream since people could theorize.
Oh, like that one banger we always jam to. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a... Oh.
Getting life lessons from row, row, row your boat. I love Yellowstone so much.
What is it?
Do you know that fancy word? That one that happens to you when your ticker starts beating real quick and you get so spooked you start sweating and it just keeps going until your brain sort of farts?
Anxiety?
Anxiety?
I really gotta stop this. This is getting creepy.
Zion, I think I have anxiety.
I'm dying, Zion. Oh, back with Eve. I hop out of the car and slam the door shut. Yosemite steps out and eases it shut. I don't hear it latch. The parking lot, gray and faded from the elements, bleeds into the replica village. We don't have to go and seek out the library because it's right there, edging into the village's territory like an unwelcomed invader. The stone archway and kitsch arts and crafts wood paneling don't do much to hide the facade.
Did you lock it?
Yes, Yosemite.
You didn't forget to turn the headlights off, did you?
You can't even drive. Why are you telling us this?
They're automatic, Yosemite.
Did the engine sound weird to you? Because
You can stop now, Yosemite.
little things tend to add up, you know.
Oh my god, stop it.
Yeah, like you're complaining.
Yosemite pouts in a huffy silence, mouthing my words and scrunching her face into an impression of me. An overgrown child on an ego trip.
So how long do I have to wear this hat for anyway?
She tilts up the brim of the hat like a wannabe cowboy.
Until those daggers on the sides of your head fall off.
My ears are beautiful!
And also distracting. We'll have a lot of explaining to do if someone sees them.
I think everyone else should explain to me why their ears are so round and stub.
I tug the hat over her eyes and start for the library. She pops back up from underneath the hat.
Disrespectful.
You know all about that.
I wait for Yosemite at the door for 5 seconds longer than I'd like. When I turn around to scold her, she's frozen in the middle of the pathway, gazing at the replica village. Just say she's a cosplayer. Fair point. She doesn't flinch, breathe, or move. As if she's in another trance. Okay, I guess she can have 10 more seconds. I whistle her over and pull her back to reality. She shuffles over to me only looking back once before meeting me at the door. Instead of letting me, an employee of this park and the federal government, do it, she drags the damn thing open herself and barges in.
Museum!
Yosemite's mouth drops in awe as her voice echoes across the giant showroom. Dozens of Native American artifacts, from pottery to woven baskets, are displayed in cases of glass. The handful of people quietly enjoying the exhibit turn to us. My embarrassment is camouflaged by Yosemite's childlike joy.
I'm just going to sneak in real quick and read some of the plaques.
Oh, no, you aren't.
I snag her by the hood of her jacket and pull her down a hallway behind me.
But...
We'd be here all day. You can come back another time.
One day.
Aww. She goes limp, accepting her fate for the time being. I'm sure she'll keep this in her back pocket and guilt me into bringing her back eventually. The hallway is lined with mundane wooden doors, most of which are offices and break rooms for the staff. One of them is for storage too, if I'm remembering right. At the end of the hall, the last door is held open by a rubber door stopper. A faded plaque hangs on the wall next to it. Yosemite National Park Research Library.
Oh, is this it?
That's right.
I was expecting something more... elegant.
Governments don't do elegance. Kneeing the door open, I squeeze through and let it smack Yosemite while it closes.
Ow! Thin ice.
Already melted.
I start to dig into my pocket for my lanyard and identification when a familiar sing-songy voice calls out to me, "Oh my god, Jesse's here."
Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie, but we aren't open to the public. Eve?
Sitting at the front desk, Jessie pokes her head out from behind a stack of paperwork, her hat balanced neatly on top of it.
Jesse, what are you doing here? Cheryl's always here on weekdays.
Well, Cheryl and some of the museum staff got laid off in the last round of budget cuts, so the upper brass has been exploiting... relying on volunteers more.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I thought, what the hey, I'm a registered volunteer, may as well take a vacation day to look after the old place and get some work done.
That's not what vacation days are for, you idiot. You're gonna end up in a wheelchair again. Her mouth is saying one thing, but the twitch in her eye is saying something entirely different.
So you're not getting paid for this?
What can I do for you, Eve?
Oof. She sounds like she's about to cry. Yosemite looks on in stoic horror.
Your lives sound like nightmares.
Jessie perks up, staring right through me at the new shiny new person she can hone her social skills with.
Oh, and who is this? I never see you with someone else, Eve.
If only she knew this person was who I've been spending most of my precious time with lately.
Friend from college. She's looking for some reference material before her study gets reviewed.
A friend, huh? Do you let all your friends wear your hats? Or only the cute ones?
Ooh, Jessie knows. She leans against the desk and wiggles around like a cat about to pounce on its toy. Very amusing, Jessie. Her immediately going for the hat is a little too close for comfort, though. If she digs the truth up about Yosemite now, it'll basically confirm to me that she has a sixth sense.
Whatever you're trying to imply, you should stop.
Boo. You never talk about yourself. What choice do I have but to guess?
I love Jessie.
Do not.
You could at least tell me her name.
I'm halfway through taking my first breath when Yosemite dives in front of me and snatches Jessie's hand so she could vigorously shake it.
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Lilith. If you want, you can put a doctor in front of that on account of my PhD, which I'm very proud of.
Okay, sure. Oh my god, the ego on this one. She has a backstory ready and everything. It's the role she's deluded herself into believing she was born to play. Jessie plays into Yosemite's narcissism and shakes her hand. Whether she actually believes the obvious lie or is just going along with it to entertain herself, I'm not sure.
Oh, impressive. You keep some interesting company, Eve.
Yeah, she's the salt of the earth.
Well, Lilith, it's nice to meet you too. I'm Eve's supervisor.
Yes, Jessie. I've heard so much about you. Thank you for looking after my tiny friend here. I know she can be a handful most of the time, but I think having positive influences like you has made her life significantly less miserable. Despite her best efforts.
My tiny friend here. She's really going for it, putting every ounce of her being into the performance. Unfortunately for you, Yosemite, you're not the only ones who can use words.
Oh, Lilith. You've changed so much since your days of passing out drunk on the lawns of frat houses, you massive piece of human garbage.
The room gets quieter than most libraries ever have the privilege of being. Having miscalculated the length of time I would put up with her crap in public, Yosemite's face goes pale.
Damn. I'm not sure how you two haven't killed each other yet.
It's a struggle.
Ha! Jessie leans back in the rolling chair, decompressing with a sigh. Her eyes are half shut, ready to embrace the sweet gift of a catnap the moment we're out of sight.
So, do you need me to pull out anything specific, or would you rather sift through the whole library?
Again, Yosemite grabs the conversation by the neck before I can even respond.
We'll dig through the whole library. It could mean we're here for a while, though.
That's fine. Just make sure to sign in. I don't know who looks at the sheet, but I'm sure it's important to someone somewhere.
She pushes forward a clipboard with a pen chained to it. I snag it before Yosemite can and log the time. For the name, I just put Eve Adams and Company. Yosemite takes it after I'm done anyway, then writes down the name of her new persona in the column below. She sticks her nose in the air, but we both know this victory is mine.
Just around this corner, then?
You make it sound simple, but yeah. Let me know if you need anything, girls. Good luck!
The cheerful tone ringing in Jessie's voice gives me every reason to be concerned. Too ominous. Too knowing. She shooses away with a wave and slides the next form of the leaning tower, or off the leaning tower of bureaucracy. The instant we turn the corner, it's horrifyingly apparent why she wished us good luck.
Christ, it's worse than I remember.
She knows all right, but not what Eve thinks she knows. Exactly.
I assumed this would be a daunting task, but this is unwieldy.
The library is stacked to the ceiling with cardboard boxes. Overstuffed folders spill from shelves. It's like if Yosemite took her research and sprinkled it across the cabin. How could anyone ever let it get like this? I take 3 hesitant steps into the eye of the storm. My shoulder brushes against the pile of boxes. The top teeters over and crashes onto the floor, binders and folders and paper scattering across the floor. I sigh and say a prayer for the mercy of death.
Where do we even start?
Well, Eve.
Yosemite bends over and starts gathering up the mess I've made. Not that it's any more recognizable than the bigger mess we're already standing in.
I suppose you'll just have to start on the left and I'll just have to start on the right.
And then we'll meet in the center?
Oh, Eve, don't be so difficult. For my sake, you can drag yourself further to the right.
Ah, Yosemite POV. Multiple hours have passed since we entered the library. Whenever I look at the clock, I'm surprised by how late it's gotten. There are no windows in this room, so it's impossible to gauge the time. When we entered, the golden sheen of afternoon was still beating down, but if we left now, I'm sure we'd be greeted by the blue tint of twilight. Not that I want to leave. Despite being first intimidated by the lack of cohesion here, I've grown to enjoy being in this space. Not because it's especially beautiful or comfortable, after all. It is just an unambitious, sterile building surrounded by far more interesting wilderness. I enjoy it because I'm surrounded by heaps and mountains of information. With so much knowledge of places and people at my disposal, this space has become a watchtower of sorts for me. Only several minutes ago, I finished flipping through a decades-old study on mule deer within the park. When I closed my eyes and watched my breath, the emotions I was feeling would bloom into images, and I would see a mule deer. It would be cautiously glancing around, just within view of the astonishing height of Bridavale Fall? Is that right? Bridavale? When it was sure it was safe, it would graze, and peace would wash over it. The bliss of a clean consciousness, uncorrupted by ego. Then I would feel it too, as if I were that deer. It was obvious to me. That deer was existing somewhere in this park. Even now, it still does. It was as clear to understanding as having an arm, and as easy to believe as you being capable of moving it. That's why this place is a watchtower. It's the same reason why I feel so at home in the cabin, I suppose. Information is documented evidence of existence, and when circled by it, I can experience it at all.
How you doing over there?
Eve calls out to me. We've both picked up our own cramped tables to station ourselves at, her with one stack of pamphlets and books, and me with another.
Stimulated. Nothing has triggered anything quite like that vision yet, but I'm learning tidbits about myself, the park that I didn't know. Also, a lot of this is validating info I already knew, which is invaluable to me, I assure you.
She scoffs and rolls her eyes, which I love. It's the whole reason I play up my snobbery. Her reactions, they fuel me. But also, they reveal so many important things about her. Her fire and her willingness to fight, even if she denies it. The Ranger is my friend. I admit that. Happily. Aww. Her offering to help and to take me here so I can learn about the things that plague me most is proof of our friendship. It doesn't matter to me if she feels the same, opposite, or any other way. Whatever is apparent is usually fact.
What are you up to over there? Staying protective, I hope?
Depends on your definition. It's probably nothing that would help you, if that's what you're wondering.
Try me.
I reach my hand out and wait for her to pass off the folder. She groans and with all her willpower and strength rises out of the folding chair. She is my friend, yes, but she still has a natural tendency towards laziness. Yo, me too. I really am, Eve.
I was just starting to get comfortable, too.
Your noble sacrifice is noted.
Instead of handing me the folder, she swats away everything on the table that I was reading and flops it down in front of me. Ooh, get crunching? All right, give me a second. And not too great today.
So, what am I looking at here?
Words. They're a series of structured letters arranged in such a way to communicate information.
I take the folder and try smacking her face with it. She grabs my wrist and pins it back down to the table.
Next time.
Uh-huh. It's a collection of personal journals from folks who were in the Mariposa Battalion.
Brushing up on your Gold Rush history, are we?
not really. I was giving a tour of the Awanichi village to some 4th graders earlier today, so it's been on my mind. Was gonna get into the real nitty-gritty of it all when their teacher got in the way. Don't think the parents were too happy with me.
Can't have little ears hearing inconvenient truths.
It was convenient for them in the long run. Convenient for Governor McDougal to give the go-ahead. Convenient for James Savage to lead. Convenient to manifest destiny and benefit from it.
Probably not so convenient for the Awanichi.
Probably not.
There's a stiff silence that follows, and for good reason. These are difficult things to contemplate. Time really isn't that big of a barrier between the past and the present. Old scars may as well be fresh wounds when gone untreated, and much like how I can feel the presence of that mule deer, I can feel those scars. They wrap around me. All of me. As integral to this environment and space as the mountains and trees. Unescapable. My memories may fade, but sorrow's imprint will always remain. To carry the burden of lingering horror and melancholy is my duty as Yosemite, I fear.
It's hard to find motivation to work here for a lot of reasons. But knowing what people are capable of and why this place is even a park to begin with, that might be the hardest.
Eve doesn't face me while saying these things. Her chin is down, as her eyes. Easier to internalize the results of history rather than confront her face to face.
Your action is more valuable than your guilt. Do your part by doing something. You've already had this epiphany. Now apply it elsewhere.
My words come out pointed and harsh, as intended. She's too much like me, getting so caught up in the web of her thoughts that nothing productive comes of it. That's why her and I need one another, so the other can cut through it.
As for the evils people do,
I flash her a smile. It's a forced one, and I'm not sure I'm particularly good at it, but levity is sometimes important for emphasizing points.
they're capable of much greater goods.
Eve smirks. My smile no longer feels forced. And then her smirk twists into a smug distortion. She's such a wretched little thing.
Interesting to hear you, of all people, say that. The night we met, you couldn't stop talking about how people suck the big one.
It's not a rolling chair, but I force myself to turn it anyway. To let her see my reaction would be to admit that any of her turnarounds and comebacks actually have effect on me. We can't have that. There are appearances to keep up. Appearances!
Perhaps this will surprise you, but even I am capable of having my mind changed.
Hey,
She doesn't say anything else, and I don't think she will until I acknowledge that she has something more to say. To end the game of chicken, I glance over my shoulder. Only casually, though.
it happens to the best of us.
To the best of us? I spin back around, a hair away from asking her to follow up on that. She only nods. I chuckle. Such a lie, but I don't mind the two of us deluding ourselves together.
We're hardly the best.
Of course we are. Of the worst.
The silence that follows isn't stiff this time. It's comfortable and lovely. Like the mornings we share together. I do enjoy a good stimulating debate, but moments where nothing needs to be said are precious.
Speaking with your eyes, girls.
Boo! Jesse, don't interrupt the flirting. However, all precious things must come to an end, and this ending is brought to us by none other than Eve's supervisor herself. Jessie, I believe.
Just ignore her, Lilith. She'll eventually go away.
Jessie clutches her chest in agony.
Please. That would really hurt. All I want to do is tease and love on you. Is that so bad?
I'd say it's a good way to knock her down to size. But maybe she's short enough as it is.
Also, Dr. Lilith. I wish that was in quotations.
Is that your screwed up way of defending me?
No, it was an insult.
See? Me and you could have this exact same dynamic if you only let it happen, Eve.
Trust me, what me and you have is better than this.
That one stops Jessie's tampering in one swift blow, reducing her to a stuttering, borderline blubbering state.
Oh. Well, thank you.
It was in quotations earlier, but she's so smart she got a real PhD while they were reading.
Gosh, maybe I am making an impact.
She doesn't realize this was all just a way for Eve to get in a dig at me, but the compliment seems to make her happy enough, what with her restrained wiggling. Regardless, I do believe that Eve loves this woman quite a bit. I'd go so far as to say the appreciation may run so deep, she would actually admit to it if pressed.
Anyway, girls, just wanted to let you know that this place is technically going to close soon. But since Eve is staff, I don't see a problem with you staying. As long as you remember to lock up afterwards.
Now it makes sense as to why Eve is so fond of her. Jessie is wonderful.
Don't just stand there, Eve. Thank the kind lady.
Thanks, kind lady.
You're welcome, rotten girl.
They both lean in for a side hug. As they do, Jessie decides it's time to take a peek over my shoulder.
So, what was it that you two were looking into again?
Someone has nosy tendencies.
Hey, cut it out. Only I can give her crap for that.
But it's so obviously true.
Damn it, Yosemite. You need to learn when to not say things. No wonder Eve is so careful when it comes to us. It's not that far-fetched to imagine a scenario where Jessie gets just a tad too curious for her own good and finds out about me, or Yellowstone, or Zion.
Sorry, she's right. It's a bad habit of mine. I just thought maybe I could help you find what you're looking for. Whatever that happens to be.
Eve's eyes worm their way over to my direction. I reply in turn, shooting her a dirty look. She does the same, and it's filthier. Fine. As much as I would love to stay here for all of eternity, and perhaps then some help would come in handy. No guarantee she'll have any idea what I'm talking about, though. To be frank, it's difficult to talk about, not without thinking about that vision. The intensity of its absolute reality. After all, the only reason I was able to explain any of it to the Ranger was because it was her. But if she insists on letting Jessie in on some of the happenings, I suppose I can bite the metaphorical bullet just this once. It should be easy enough to dance around any information she doesn't absolutely need to know. I sigh and give in. Jessie looks wounded by my lack of enthusiasm, but my hesitation has nothing to do with her. I'm just a private person. Creature. Thing. Whatever I am.
Over the course of my research, I briefly stumbled upon some pictures. They were of a cave somewhere in this park. I believe they're valuable to some of the information I'm presenting in my article. Unfortunately, neither me nor Eve have been able to identify the caves.
Do you have the pictures with you? You could try to match them with the photos you come across here.
Already poking holes in my flimsy story. Does she do this naturally? Is she just an inquisitive soul? Goodness.
Like I said, I only saw them for a brief moment. You could say they flashed by. And I have no way of referring back to them.
How?
Ever.
Eve is shooting me annoyed looks, and if we could communicate via telepathy, I'm sure she would be giving me an earful over how crappy my lying skills are. As if she could do better.
There are lots of caves in this park. Some of the systems go on for miles. It makes sense that you're having such a hard time narrowing it down.
Jessie leaves the proximity. At first, I think she's ending the conversation without exchanging any of the usual pointless pleasantries, which more people should do, really, but then stops at a bookshelf.
But if you can't find any info on it, there's probably a pretty dang good reason.
She slides out a beige folder coated with dust. With a sharp blow of her breath, all of it goes flying, like particles of time drifting to the ground.
So, unless I'm finally going batty, what you're looking for is probably closer than you think.
Opening the folder, she takes out a thick piece of paper and begins the process of unfolding it. When she's done, it's bigger and taller than all three of our heads put together.
Is that a map of the park?
That's right, and an old one too.
I must witness.
I make grabby motions at it. Jessie ignores my plea and spreads it out on the table.
So excitable. But be careful, I'm not sure how many of these we have archived.
Handling old things is my specialty.
Maybe you should try specializing in patience next.
And maybe you should try not being an empty, miserable shell.
Jesus.
Well, maybe you should.
Ladies! Really?
She brings out the worst in me.
You do that yourself.
I take back what I said. Maybe I don't want what you two have.
The map?
Right. Every so often, management will decide to stop promoting certain areas of the park, usually because of safety or environmental concerns. This will typically involve removing trail markers and taking it off the maps we hand out.
Do you think that might be the case for the place we're looking for?
There's a good chance.
I lean out of my chair and hover over the table. The map is faded in places, with torn and dog-eared corners, but is still legible. Nearly all of the locations are places I recognize, as I should. All except for one. I point at it.
Indian Caves. What is this?
Good eye, Lilith. That's what I was about to show you.
What? How come I've never heard of it?
This park has been here longer than the 5 years you worked at it, honey.
No shit. Can confirm. I'm proof of it.
This place used to be marked like any other area of the park. It was popular too, being so close to Lake Mirror and all. The caves were easy to explore and walk through, so it was great for kids.
But...
I hate giving your cynical side more ammo, but it's probably what you're thinking. People kept leaving their trash and camping gear there.
Bastards.
it was too much of a hassle for anyone to bother cleaning it up, right?
Right.
Jessie's tone is bleak. It's as if she regretted bringing this part up the moment it left her mouth. She must be more invested in changing Eve's perspective than I could have guessed. Not that I disagree with the goal, but no meaningful change will happen if you deny her the truth.
It breaks off from a trail and is pretty out of the way. You know how difficult resource management is here, so you can't really blame them.
Oh, I can, and I will.
I love when people say that. It's like, no, I will blame them. You can't blame them. Yes, I can. Watch me. Eve leans over the table and observes the map with me.
Lake Mirror isn't too far from here. What do you think?
That we should pay it a visit.
Now?
You don't have anywhere better to be.
True.
I'm only letting you have that one because it's true.
Excuse me, you can't go now. It'll be pitch dark.
It's your day off, right?
Technically.
We're good. I don't have to listen to her.
Don't just ignore me after I helped you.
Eve folds the map. It's only after it's in her back pocket does she ask the relevant question.
Hey, Jessie, you don't mind if we borrow this, do you?
Only able to squeak out a series of helpless stutters, Jessie soothes her head. Looks like Eve inspires migraines in more beings in the world than just me.
Fine. Just make sure to bring it back. There's supposed to be more red tape involved in this, but
Eve stops her mid-panic with a hug.
Thanks. I'll never let anything bad happen under your watch again. I promise.
Jessie's face goes blank. Then her lip quivers.
You can't just say stuff like that and not expect me to.
She fights back a sniffle.
Just leave, okay? Get out of here,
Get! If only Jessie knew how wrong she is. She has a healthier relationship with Eve than I could probably ever hope for. After all, they're both human. I'm not.
Come on, let's go.
Eve breaks out of the hug and starts for the door.
Hold on! You can't just tell me what to do!
Just did. Now hurry up. Lake Mirror isn't that far, so it should only be a 10-minute drive.
Hold up, why is Pup there? Why is he here? I scramble out of the chair and catch up to her. We're almost at the door when Jessie calls out.
And Eve, please don't blame the people who visit this park for what's wrong with it.
Coming around to people, actually. It's the lazy institutions they build I have a problem with.
True. Okay, seriously, why is Pup there on the side? I'm actually gonna bonus dog, bonus coyote. Oh, interesting. Sorry, one sec. I'm just screen capping this image because I think that's an error. Is it clickable? No, I tried. I wish it was.
I'll take that as a win!
Yeah, clicking just moves the dialogue
Can
forward.
I validate your feelings? Because I know they're very important. But what part of life, maybe being a dream, makes you anxious? Green 5.
Cully, what part about it doesn't scare me? If it's true, then there's just lots of little details that pile up. Green 9.
Like what? I need to draw. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Head empty, just Uno. And anxiety.
Yellow 9!
Well, it's like, does that mean everyone else is dreaming too? Or are we just some other fella's dream? Oh, or maybe it's all my dream. All those things are freaky in different ways. Draw 4.
What the hell, Yellowstone?
So evil! Fine. 4 cards. Blue 3. What makes each of those scary to you? If you don't mind me asking.
She's such a polite little baby.
Good gravy. You don't gotta be all polite and cred when I'm spilling my guts to ya. But if I were to try to articulate it...
Articulate.
If it's the first one, then who are we and why are we dreaming? If it's the second thing, then why the heck am I having dreams inside of dreams? And why do I feel so gosh darn real? Oh, looks like I gotta draw. 1, 2, green 3.
What about the third one?
That one's the freakiest! Because if I'm the one dreaming, that means nobody else is real. And I'm all by my lonesome.
This is not the kind of existentialism I was expecting from this episode.
You're not alone. I promise that I'm real. I'm conscious. And I'm really consciously loving you.
They're a good family.
I wanna believe ya. But what if the dream is just telling me to dream you saying that?
Oh, Yellowstone.
Oh, I can see how that could be scary. Still, I hope you can believe me. One day. Wild card!
No greens or threes, huh?
No.
Aww.
What makes the first reason scary?
Well, it definitely ain't this blue 2 I'm about to throw down. But I guess it's 'cause if we're all dreaming, then that means we can't be who we are right now. We could be anything. Like little green men in a simulation.
Ooh. Or maybe we're all just the same being living over and over and over. And this doesn't end until every piece of organic existence has been experienced?
I am not high enough for this.
Are we organic?
Yes. Yes, you are.
I have leaves. And a yellow too.
Let me draw. What you're yakking about is pretty much what I said about all of us being some other fella's dream.
Well, isn't that close to what Yosemite believes?
You mean that complicated universal consciousness jibber-jabber that I always zone out during?
Uh-huh. Yosemite's theory is that we exist because humans are aware national parks exist, and that their awareness becomes matter. Cultural misconceptions and all.
Guess that explains my noggin.
What is it?
Red 2! And also, if humans made us, then who made humans?
You see the discard pile? Maybe it's like that.
Life is Uno.
Like what?
Cards.
Cards?
All the way down.
All the way down?
Cards all the way down.
I think she's just gonna, like, short circuit.
The cards stop at the table, Zion.
The cards stop at the table.
I think we're just about there. Make sure you keep up.
How about you slow down?
Eve snorts out deep, heavy breaths as she drags her feet behind me. Perhaps I'm going at a faster pace than usual, but it's her fault for not being able to keep up with me. You are not human. Meanwhile, I'm doing the important work of guiding us in the proper direction. This map isn't too difficult to follow, but finding this trail was a task, to put it lightly. We had to park at a hotel, stumble around until we found a bike path, then finally we found the proper path, only after missing it 3 times. By the time we had been through the whole ordeal, the night in all its blackness had crept up on us. Now the moon hangs high in the center of the sky, glowing and full, so bright it blots out the stars. A cold wind blows, rattling the leaves. If it were visible to the naked eye, I suspect it would look like a musical staff, the clefs and notes swirling through the branches. Blanches, huh? There's a darkness in the air tonight, ominous thickness I can't place. As we get closer to the caves, the feeling only gets heavier. The butterflies and excitement I felt in my stomach when we left the library have slithered straight to my head, morphing into the throbbing anxiety. There are only 2 options before me now. I will find truth, or I will find none. The possible implications of both scare me. I slow my pace until I stop. Eve catches up, only to continue past me. When she realizes I'm not moving, she pauses and glances back.
Something up? You had all the piss and vinegar in the world in you a few minutes ago.
I purse my lips, but talk anyway. Fear has never kept me quiet before.
Should we turn back?
She continues on, but I don't follow. Her shoulders heave down in a sigh. She turns around.
No, because you'd regret it.
How are you so sure?
Because I'd never let you hear the end of it.
Valid. Even if the moon wasn't bright, I'd be able to see her expression clearly. Just one of the many small differences that makes me inhuman. But when I see her serious, deadpan face spotlighted by the moonlight, I know that, maybe even more so than the information I'll receive tonight, is truth. Just like, yeah, she will roast me forever if I give up. Eve lies to herself, but I know she doesn't lie to me. So now I follow her. Deeper into the dark woods we go, away from the Yosemite that I am and know. Night has never seemed so still before. Not a single animal is rustling about in the bushes. No night birds in trees, just the silent dark, daring us to go further. I look at the map and let my dread do the guessing as to how far away we are. How many more steps will it take until the unknown becomes known? 10? 100? Will we wander these woods forever? Maybe Eve won't, but I think I will. That is my fate, after all, to haunt this place. I always thought that I exist to speak for this park, but perhaps I'm only here to be its ghost, wailing and moaning until enough people have returned to the dirt that their descendants forget this place. If that's my purpose, then I'm destined to cycle through it over and over, like a cog, except I won't stop spinning until the whole machine breaks down.
Think this is the place?
Eve stops. We've reached our destination, whether I like it or not.
Why ask questions you already know the answer to?
Because I know you'll give me one, regardless of whether I want it.
Eve shines the flashlight on the cave, and it isn't much of a cave at all. Nothing as romantic as being carved into the side of a mountain or hill, as if you're entering the jaws of fate. Instead, it's merely boulders stacked on top of boulders. How they got there is a mystery unknown to time or myself, but they've been here long enough to have grown moss, to have merged with the ancestral ground. Openings, big enough for a person to slide into, reveal themselves between the rock's jagged shapes. Thin trees guard the various entrances, their wilted and solemn forms extending far into the night sky.
You ready?
No. Let's get on with it.
I march onwards past Eve. She draws in a deep breath, whether it's supposed to be steadying or just her usual exasperation getting the worst of her, I can't tell. Twigs snap beneath her boots as she follows me. The entrance is half blocked off by a rock the size of a bear you would expect to sleep in this cave. Big enough to slip through with some persistence, but not comfortable. I signal Eve in its direction. She points the flashlight down into the cave. It illuminates the small space with warm light, only getting more narrow the further along it goes. Peering in, it looks like a dim, cozy chapel.
Unless you're in the mood to get stuck, there's no way that'll fit both of us.
I glance into the cave. The light wobbles and secret corners get darker as the flashlight shakes in Eve's hand. A deep frown strains her cheeks. And I secretly hope it's pity. It would be nice to be pitied.
Well, here goes everything.
I take the first step through the mouth of the cave, listening to the sweet lullaby of the crickets. The warmth of Eve's breath brushes against the nape of my neck.
Please don't leave.
Not that I could with how stunned I am, but she doesn't even give me time to answer before she wiggles and drops down into the cave. Idiot. You can go anywhere in the park with a blink of an eye. It wouldn't matter if I did. But even then, I've already spent 5 years at this job. 5 years with you. I can't just get up and leave. Not yet. Yosemite dusts herself off and inspects the inside of the cave. She places her hand against the rock and traces it over the walls as if absorbing some unsaid knowledge it possesses. A freezing spike drills through my heart. My vision goes dead black, flickering like a bad signal. I clutch my chest, squeezing until the pain fades. When it's gone, my vision returns. Yosemite gasps. She yanks away her hand.
It's just like earlier. Yosemite! What did you see?
I could really go for the comfort of a smartass answer right about now, but I don't get that luxury. Instead, she turns to me, her stern eyes swimming with fear, breath heavy.
I'm going deeper.
You're what?
She walks further in.
Yosemite?
Slipping past a wall, she disappears into the darkness beyond the warm comfort of the flashlight.
Yosemite!
No answer.
You're such a pain.
Just how out of my depth am I? I don't understand any of this. Every part of me wants to go in after her, and yet... I don't know. It feels like there's something inside of me. Something that's not me. It's not talking, it's not speaking, it's not echoing through my head. But it wants me staying put. If it doesn't want me messing with things that aren't intended for me. To leave the secrets to the seekers. Like Yosemite, I guess. Maybe that's what communicating all this to me is, Yosemite. It feels like her. Her scolding, the talking down to. God help me if she can spread the will of her ego without even saying a word.
Fine! I'll wait! You hear that? I'll wait!
My voice bounces through the cave. Again, no answer, but this time I feel like one wasn't intended. I wonder if I'm in some asylum somewhere hallucinating all of this. Yosemite, Yellowstone, Zion. Maybe cracking that guy in the skull is what finally broke my mind. Or better yet, this is just a dream. All of it. It'd be a pretty wonderful dream then. Ooh, that light just went out. Crouched on this rock like some kind of woodland goblin, I gaze up at the guardian trees circling the cave. I click the flashlight off. Just me, the night, and the wind. Eventually, my eyes adjust and I can see the top of the trees. A bird is perched on a branch, sleeping, a silhouetted cloud drifting through the sky. My heart is beating. My chest is breathing. My head is spinning. And I'm aware of all of it. It makes me uneasy. But sometimes, it feels nice to be uneasy. That does not feel nice. A scream bellows out of the caverns of the cave. First dull and tinny, then sharp and resonant as the sound escapes the entrance and stabs my ears. Yeah, I didn't know that was coming, or I'd have given you guys a warning.
Yosa!
Only a few precious syllables spill out of my mouth before I'm silenced. The sharp pain is back. Gunshots into my chest. Yosemite's scream hasn't stopped. It keeps going, breathlessly, into eternity. Black, static, vision. I'm outside the cabin. I can see Yellowstone and Zion sitting at the table through the window.
Guys!
My vision is stolen from me again. The pain shoots back up with a vengeance. Static. Endless static. Sight. Now I'm in the middle of a clearing. I recognize this place. It's where the fire happened. With those campers, the cigarettes, Yosemite.
Why is this?
Darkness, static, and pain. Screaming right into my eardrum. I stand in the middle of the replica village, right outside the sweat lodge. The museum looms over it. Its peering windows and wide doors form together to look like a violent face. The location cycles. Yosemite screams. All of this happens again and again and again and again and again and again. All I want is for it to end. It doesn't. I clap my hands over my ears, shut my eyes tight. Everything is out of control. Everything is out of my control. This is all I can do. And I'll do it forever if I have to. Forever. Oh God. Please end. This pain can't be forever. Please don't trap me like this forever. My feet stumble. I catch myself with my left foot. My right knee crashes onto a rock. I'm kneeling? I wait for another cycle to happen, but it doesn't. Is it over? I lower my hands from my ears. When I open my eyes, I realize I'm back to the entrance of the cave, sitting on the rock like I've been there the entire time. The screaming has stopped. For now, all I feel is the tangible pain in my knee, not the one in my heart.
What the hell?
My chest heaves in and out. I could sit here forever and catch my breath. I'd probably cry too, but my throat is too dry. Oh shit, what about...
Yosemite?
I'm ready to dive into the cave when a hand clutches the sleeve of my pants.
Eve?
Her voice is raw, shaking between deep sobs. She's laying down next to me, her free arms slung over her face. Her sleeve is soaked with tears.
What happened?
I lean in and grab her shoulder. All it takes is one attempt to drag her up to know that she's not moving anytime soon. Her mouth moves, but the words don't even come out as a whisper. They may not even be words.
What?
I forgot.
You forgot? That's not gonna cut it. I need some answers.
No! I forgot. Just like Zion. Who I was. What I knew. Everything.
Just like Zion?
That would mean you used to be different.
Someone else. Now I'm not.
She chokes between heavy sobs.
And it's just going to keep happening.
I try to stutter out a response, but nothing comes.
It's just going to keep happening.
The wind picks up, tossing my hair and any leaves that have fallen off the trees. It's a silent night, so in its place, Yosemite wails. Memories of Yosemite got haunted by the past. That was not expected. I'm gonna take a quick drink here. Okay.
Reverse! Reverse! Reverse!
How does reversing work when there's only 2 players?
Reverse!
Do they just hold all of them until the very end?
Reverse! Seriously, Petus, why does this always end up happening?
No offense, Yellowstone, but you were the one who combined 4 decks together.
Okay, that'll do it.
For quadruple the fun!
This is still fun to you? All it's doing now is making me stressed.
How do you think I feel? All that turtle jibber jabber you were going on about is still zipping over my head. I'm out for lunch.
Turtle?
By the way, you only have 1 card left, and since I pointed it out, you gotta draw 2 more. Sorry, cutie. Them's the rules.
Jeez. You really know how to push my buttons when we play games. You know that?
Engie Zion.
The turtles, Zion! The turtles!
I'm going to try and explain this one more time. Are you ready?
The world turtle is the table under the cards. Oh, okay. Let's see if they actually run with that.
Let's rattle.
So it's like how I explained it with the cards in the discard pile. Cards all the way down.
Okie dokie.
Now, with that in mind, let's assume the entire world is on the back of a turtle.
Shit, you called it, Lemon.
Far out. Does he have a name?
Steve.
No. The turtle is just an example. It could be any animal.
Ooh, could it be a buffalo then? They're so fluffy and huggable. I just want to squeeze them.
And it would destroy you.
Okay. It's a buffalo.
She's so done.
Yes.
The buffalo can't stand on its own in space. So naturally, there would have to be something beneath it. In this case, another buffalo.
But wouldn't that mean that other buffalo would have to start standing on something too?
Can you guess what it is?
Buffaloes all the way down.
Another buffalo? Red 3.
That's right! And it just keeps going and going.
There can't be that many buffalo. They almost went extinct.
Oh my god.
It's just a special way to think about things, Yellowstone. You asked what made humans if humans made us. And I guess that's my answer. It could be something else, on top of something, on top of something else. Or it could be a dream. Or maybe it's nothing at all. I don't really know.
Then what does that mean for us? It doesn't make any sense. And it scares me, you know? Oh, I have an Uno!
Blue 3!
Blue 7! I win! It just doesn't make a lick of sense to me. What's the point of living if you don't know nothing while you're doing it? It just seems hopeless.
Oh no, you're making Zion sad.
Does there need to be a point?
Huh? Of course there does. Every camper that cruises through here has one. They got hobbies or nice families. Even Evo has her job.
Evo.
You think it'd be easier for us being parks and all. All we gotta do is help folks get back to nature and look pretty while doing it. We should be jam-packed with purpose. But I sure don't feel like it. Ain't there a reason we're here?
There might be. But why should it be up to us to figure it out?
Well, Yosemite's always trying to do it.
Yosemite is Yosemite. Let her do what she needs to do to make herself happy.
Yeah, let her drive herself nuts.
Does dwelling on this make you happy?
Clearly not.
No. Feels pretty crummy, actually. That don't mean I can't think about it, though.
I know. It's not that easy. But what about the things that do make you happy? Can you think about those?
Oh, sure. I can do that till the cows go moo.
Moo.
Can you tell me some of them?
Being here with my precious Oath Angel is one of them. I can tell you that.
Being with you makes me happy too. And I think just being here now is a lot more important than worrying about all that other stuff. Because here isn't forever. Not even for us.
Zion! I don't know if I can change what scares me lickety-split or anything sudden like that. It's all so whack.
And her head Kano is geysering.
whack.
But if vibing here with me is good enough for you, then by golly, I'm gonna try and make it good enough for me.
It might take a long time.
Well, as long as the thing on top of my head don't explode, I think I'll be okay. It's a good excuse to dilly-dally at least.
And if you want, we can have more talks like this. We can play more Uno, too.
That'd be swell! Could we play another round now?
Sure. Let's take out some of the reverse cards, though.
Oh, such a stick in the mud. But okay.
No, the sticks are in her hair.
Phew.
Oh, that was when Eve was having, like, the... Oh.
Say, did you hear something?
No. I felt something, though.
Probably just the sting of defeat.
That's very rude. You'll eat those words. Slowly. To prevent indigestion.
She's such a delight.
You're on. Oh, but before that, I have another question.
By all means.
So, what's the deal with eternity?
Oh god, no, no. Even Zion looks done. Dear Teddy, not much has changed on my front since I hastily jotted down last night's events. I just wanted to get it all on paper in case I needed to remember anything. It was a moot point, though. I still remember everything. Vividly. Yosemite cried for a long time. I didn't think she would ever stop crying. All I could do was sit there and watch, like some kind of idiot. Maybe I'm even more callous than I thought I was. Or maybe I don't know how to handle other people having emotions. She's comforted me before, with a hug even. Why wasn't I able to do the same for her? I wonder. When she finally calmed down a little, she explained to me some of the things she saw. It was exactly like she said. She's just like Zion. Right down to living an entire existence she had completely forgotten about. The deeper she went into the cave, the more the past would enter her. Is that why I got stuck in that cycle? It felt like whenever they teleport me somewhere, except worse. I must be getting too close. Could this be why their visions are sticking to me? Maybe Yosemite just got too close to the truth. Regardless, we're both out of our league. She knew people. Tribes of them. She could speak their language. They knew her. One of them was a girl. Yosemite smiled when she said that she reminded her of me. I haven't seen her smile since. That this girl had a name for her. Awane. I really hope I got that right. If anyone actually knows how to pronounce that properly, and if I'm wrong, please let me know. She told me about how they would often go to the same cave we went to last night, to hide and visit and argue with each other. Guess she was an argumentative brat before she ever even met Zion. Before a lot of things. What am I doing here, Teddy? I'm so out of my depth I may as well be drowning in the ocean. It's not like the girls know that much more than I do. They exist, but they're just along for the ride. I'm scared because I don't know what's going to happen next. Yosemite hasn't left the couch since we got home last night. As I'm writing this, she's still there. A blanket pulled over her head. Research untouched. This is the first morning where the table seat opposite from me has been empty. where I've been unopposed. About as good of a human as I am a ranger. P.S. I dusted off my phone to look up what a Wahane means. It's Miwok for big mouth. If that was her name, I can't think of anything more fitting. Hydrate? Alright, one sec. I flip Teddy shut and tap my fingers on his cover. Yosemite is completely submerged by her blanket. If it weren't for her feet dangling over the armrest, I wouldn't even be able to tell she was there. Wish I could say something. Know that I can't. I just hope she bounces back. I don't want to face these things alone either.
Miss Eve?
Zion's squeak drags me out of the depths of my thoughts. We haven't told her or Yellowstone about what went down last night, so for them, it's business as usual. I don't know if it's moral to hide it from them, but I think they're better off not knowing.
What is it?
My voice is a dry gravel on account of the sleep I didn't get last night.
Do you happen to know where Pup is? I can't find him anywhere. He'll miss his breakfast.
You know, maybe that bit where Pup's little box thing was showing up in the library, maybe that wasn't an error. Hate to say it, but he had completely slipped my mind. It's a pressing matter, but yesterday was filled with those.
Now that you mention it, I haven't seen him since I got off work yesterday. I'll go out and look for him in a bit. He doesn't wander too far.
Thank you. I'm just worried is all.
When are you not?
Rude.
When everything is perfect.
She's such a good bean.
Ain't nothing ever perfect. Dollface here knows that better than anybody.
Yellowstone comes bobbing over from the stove, carrying a platter of pancakes in her hand.
Is there a criticism of me you'd like to share, Yellowstone?
Darn tootin', you're nothing but stick and bones. Now have a stack of flapjacks. They go all the way down.
Like the cards? Or the buffaloes? Yellowstone winks at Zion. Zion responds with an uncomfortable smile, like an embarrassed kid whose parents just complimented them in front of their friends. What a couple of weirdos.
Thanks, but I'm not hungry.
You've got to be yanking my chain. You've never turned down my flapjacks before.
Feel like crab. Sorry.
Well, somebody's got to eat these flapjacks. Yosemite turned her nose up to 'em too.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm. She didn't even look at us when we asked.
The moping blanket pile on the couch ruffles around.
Let me give it a shot.
I climb to my feet and swipe the platter from Yellowstone. Her and Zion shoot at each other concerned glances.
Hey, Tree.
I go to the front of the sofa and crouch where I think Yosemite's face might be hidden.
You want food?
She tugs the blanket further over her head and rolls onto her other side.
Don't you know it's rude to be a pain in the ass when someone's trying to keep you from starving?
At first, I'm certain I'm not going to get an answer. Then I get something.
I don't need food. It's fine.
Well, I'll take that over silence, at least. Uh-oh.
Eve, it's me. Open up.
The familiar sound of Jessie calling out from my porch breaks through the cabin. Not nearly as cheerful as usual, though. What's she doing here? She always radios me before dropping by. I sigh and set the platter down on the coffee table.
Just let me know when you're ready to sort through all this.
I whisper to Yosemite, then rise to a slightly higher whisper for the rest of them.
You guys should split for a while. Looks like duty is calling.
Aye, aye!
Shh, too loud!
Come on, girls. Let's make like a bee and buzz off.
Yellowstone grabs Zion's hand. The two of them rush over to the couch and force Yosemite's hand out of the blanket long enough to hold it. They disappear from the room before I can blink.
Adams, I know you're in there. You open this goddamn door right now.
Uh-oh? What's her damage? She was bubbly as usual last night.
Coming!
Holy shit. I sprint over and grab the doorknob. The door bursts open. Jessie comes charging through it. She clutches my shoulders and pins me against the kitchen counter. Her fingernails dig through my shirt.
Ah! What the hell, Jessie?
Shut up. I should be the one asking you that, okay?
Her grip gets looser and her voice shakes. She turns her head up and looks at me. Her eyes are wet. Cheeks are puffy. My heart drops like an anchor.
What happened?
That coyote puppy of yours? The one I told you not to feed. You remember that, Eve?
The words don't come out at first, and when they do, they're mostly broken.
Jessie, what happened? What happened to Pup?
Oh, God. You named it, too? For Christ's sake, Eve.
She chuckles a fake laugh to herself and takes a breath.
Listen to me. It wandered into camp yesterday. There was a girl. 6 years old, Eve. 6 years old. She got a little too close.
No!
I'm almost blubbering at this point. We both are. Please don't let it get worse.
3 fingers!
No! No!
Listen to me! 3 fingers! It was too late by the time they got to Fresno. They had to amputate.
The cabin door swings in the wind. There aren't any campers in the forest across the clearings. As far as I know, the trees could go on forever. Dear Teddy, what have I done? Dear Teddy, you're screwed. Wait. Is that? Is that it? But that also had the credits for... Yeah, why did it say Chapter 5, Part 2? Yeah, that's what I want to know. This was Chapter 4. I kill the ignition. The engine hums until it dies. The metal on the truck pops and squeaks and crackles until that goes silent too. Then all I hear are the muffled tweets of birds from outside. For a while I stay inside the truck until it gets warm, until I start to roast. We're finally in springtime. I drove the truck through Tioga Pass for a bit, eventually swerved west and went off-roading. We're technically not supposed to. I, technically, don't give a shit. Despite knowing this park like the back of my hand, I wouldn't be able to point out where I'm at if given a map. Don't care much about that either. Probably nowhere too high up. If I'd come across a cliff, I would have driven off it. Jesus. I slam my head on the steering wheel, holding it there for as long a never-ending beep echoes through the woods. A flock of birds scatter from their tree branches and escape into the sky. I lift my head and bust it against the wheel again. Again. My head throbs. A dull pain snakes through it and stops at the back of my wisdom teeth. Vision is blurry. getting darker. I swing open the door and stumble out. The fresh air isn't so fresh. There's a fire nearby. The smell of burning bush makes my self-induced headache even worse. Fires like this aren't the most uncommon up here nowadays. I wonder how she's holding up right now. The others are probably pampering her like the queen she thinks she is. No, stop it. You forfeited that life. How dare you think you have the right to wake up every day and feel the comfort they gave you? Outdoors, nature, whatever pretentious way I choose to identify being outside and not closed in with my thoughts at some building, it's just a mask. A facade of identity to convince myself that it's possible to have moments in my day-to-day life where I'm not so miserable. But when reality comes crumbling down on top of you, and all that's left are Polaroid photos of a toddler with a mutilated hand, the entire charade goes with it. And all that's left is the burning image of 3 fingers dangling from a tiny fist, and the guilt that comes with it. There was never a way out of this. No second lease or new perspective was ever truly plausible. All that was ever there was the rebelling ego of a desperate woman shaking her fist at the boot of what exactly? Bureaucracy? Society? Culture? But that's just it, isn't it? It was actually nothing all along. Just an indefinable sense of wrongness. Lack of place or purpose. Disenchantment, to be sure. But everyone is disenchanted. So when I turn my blame and hate towards anything and everything, I shouldn't be surprised when there's a casualty. Yet here I am, shocked when my poison ends up killing. I come around to the bed of the truck and unlatch it. Pup springs toward me. The rope tied to his neck tugs him back. He's hopping from side to side. He's panting hard. He's breathing. I watch unblinking, keeping my eyes open and glued to him until they burn and he mellows out.
Yeah. I guess I'm just about ready to.
I say like he knows what's going on. Like a mutual understanding will redeem me for what I'm about to do. No. Just tell me you're going to leave him here. Oh no. The shotgun slides out of the back easily. It's heavy, but the weight doesn't even register. Feels like an extra limb I've always had. When I was driving, I kept hoping that I'd hear it get set off. That I'd get lucky, and that an unseen pothole would do it for me. Didn't even keep the safety on. And if it didn't go off, well, that was fine too. He would get to see it. Maybe understand it. Accept it. But as I look into his blank expression, whites of his eyes showing as he turns his head to look at a stray bird, I learn an obvious insight. It's a coyote. It doesn't understand a fucking thing. When the end of the rope is untied, he bounces out and runs in circles on the soil. I don't stop it. He howls and barks, and I don't try to stop that either. Eventually, he starts sniffing at a tree, and I figure that's as good of a place as any. Pup's either a good boy or a dumb boy, because he doesn't resist when I grab the rope and start tying it to the tree's mighty trunk. It's over 100 feet, towering to the sky. It and its cousins shade the whole clearing. It's probably over 300 years old. I wonder how many things it's outlived. How much life has completely disintegrated into dust from the time this thing was a sapling until now. How much more it will outlive. When the knot's been tied, I pick the gun up off the ground and take 10 steps back. Pup tries to follow, but like in the truck, he gets yanked back. Only this time, he takes issue with it. God, why now?
Shut up! Shut up!
It takes until the second time until I hate myself for saying it. Man, just look at me. Can't even show a dying animal some basic pity. Some ranger.
I'm not going anywhere.
And look at the pity I have for myself. I'll be lugging around this job complex until the bitter end, I guess. After all, the ritualistic killing about to occur is all about me. As is everything. It's about Eve Adams. It's always been about Eve Adams. Pup's head clicks to the side as I raise the gun. I remember Jesse showing it to me the first time I entered the cabin. Not even half a day later was I pointing that thing at Yosemite, Zion, and Yellowstone. Safety is off. All I have to do is pull the trigger. All I have to do is steel myself. Commit to the action. Commit, and everything changes. My environment changes. I could change. My finger curls around the trigger, the only real mechanism that matters when it comes down to revolution or murder. Pup stares at me with his blank, trusting eyes. Every organ in my body feels like it's shutting down, going cold. Stomach's doing somersaults, heart in a radial spin, hands shaking. I'm sorry, Jesse. Zion, Yellowstone. I'm so sorry. Even you, Yosemite. Especially you. The only person who ever really got it. I wish I could have let you know how much these dumb morning arguments meant to me. If I had realized it sooner, when I wasn't looking down the barrel of a shotgun, I would have told you. I learned so much from all of you, but I just couldn't apply it right. You should have put your faith in someone better. Someone kinder, who wasn't bitter just because their expectations failed them. I wasn't able to be the ranger I wanted to be, and I wasn't able to be the person you thought I could be. The world is a blur. Watercolors painted in tears. I'm sorry. Puff lifts his head towards the sky. An unbroken, sorrowful howl escapes into the air, his jowls drooping the longer it goes on.
I'm so sorry.
I pull it.
Alrighty, gals. Out of the car. Stretch those legs so you can stay limber and timber.
Please don't forget your hat this time, Yellowstone.
Yeah, you gotta cover up the head Kano.
You nearly gave that man in Tehachapi a heart attack.
It ain't my fault my head is this way. Besides, Zion gets to go strutting around with her wings out.
Because Zion looks like a tiny child costuming as a fairy princess. You look like the Herald of Tribulation.
I look like a tiny child?
I think she's taking offense to that.
My name's not Harold, Yosemite.
That's...
just put on the hat. Look, even Zion and I have to wear one.
I tipped my ranger hat. She left it at the cabin before she ran off, along with nearly everything else. In truth, it causes my scalp to itch like it's a nest for insects, but I don't quite feel like taking it off, even in the car. Zion leans in from the back seat and plants a kiss on Yellowstone's puffed-out cheeks, then rests the baseball cap on top of Yellowstone's volcano.
It'll keep the sun out of your eyes. Come on.
Yellowstone sighs and hops out of the driver's seat, Zion following closely behind. I stay in the sweltering car for a moment, staring at the window at the giant thermometer outside. A colossus of a roadside attraction, currently peaking at a dry 102. Deserts are just as intense as the books say they are. Exiting the vehicle is further proof of this. Water dries from my hair in seconds. Whatever. AC is a hedonistic sham. I've existed without it for who knows how long, and will continue to exist without it for the next 15 minutes. The number on the thermometer raises to 103. I will continue to exist without it for the next 10 minutes.
Golly, it's hotter than HE double hockey sticks out here.
And it will only get worse the lower in elevation we go.
It's not so bad. Utah can get rather hot as well.
How much longer till we get there anyhow? I'm beat from all this driving.
We would have been there by now if you hadn't choked and taken us onto the I-14 instead of the 15.
So I zigged when I should have zagged. At least I actually know how to drive, Miss Start and Stop.
Yellowstone is the driver.
I'm a defensive driver.
What's the N on the shift stand for?
N. N. Never mind.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I know we're all cranky from the drive, but please, let's not fight. Remember who we're doing this for.
Yellowstone and I go from glaring at each other to both of us shifting our gaze down to the film of dust layered on top of the parking lot. Zion always manages to find a way to be right. Always.
Sorry. I suppose I'm just getting impatient.
There's a long silence as the three of us stand there simmering in the sun. The only relief is the cool breeze from cars passing on the I-15.
I'm sorry too, Yosemite.
Yellowstone steps forward to hug me. I don't stop her.
It's been hard. The last month has knocked us all on our heinies. But soon we're all gonna be together again, like before.
Not all of us.
Oh. Zion sniffs. All the tears have dried up, but as we all know too well by now, there are some things we can never get back that won't ever get easier.
You're right.
I pull Zion into mine in Yellowstone's embrace, and the three of us huddle together in an awkward hug.
But we can be grateful for what we still have. And what we're going to get back.
Yosemite.
Look at you, got me all misty-eyed and junk.
Yellowstone wipes away a tear from the corner of her eye. Water from her volcano begins to seep through her hat.
Save it for later. We still have a ways to go.
Right.
Yellowstone and Zion start for the convenience store, Zion already fretting over whether or not they'll have fresh produce, as Yellowstone nearly walks into a light post while staring at the thermometer. Getting pretty exhausted. Hey, no worries, man. Thanks for coming out. I hope you sleep well. I stay behind, staring across the street at the sign that designates the road we'll soon be going down. Gateway to Death Valley.
Just you wait, Ranger. You won't get away from me a second time. I'm coming for you, Eve.
Okay, I think that's where it ends, but Eternal Evergreen is chapter 5. I'm gonna ask the devs what's up with that. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up here. That was, yeah, that was fucking wild. I don't know if Eve got, like, reassigned to Death Valley, or if, like, that's where her family is, and she, like, got fired or something. But yeah, that was not where I thought any of this was gonna go. But yeah, I'm gonna go sit outside for a bit, and who knows, maybe I'll hear some of the coyotes around my area. It's happened a few times, just sitting on the porch, and suddenly I start hearing the howling, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna run inside now. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming out. We'll be back on Friday with Kingdom Hearts. Last Friday was just Elden Ring, just because, you know, release day and stuff. But yeah, thank you everyone again. I'll catch you on Friday again. Sorry, what an ending to that chapter. So yeah, have a good night, everybody, and go hug your pets if you have any.